Hi, everybody. Welcome to my Undercurrent podcast. That's what it's called. It's a podcast. It's called Undercurrents, and I'm your host, Tosy Laine. Today, I really would like to talk about something very, very near and dear to my heart. I wrote some quick notes on the subject, but today we're going to be discussing what it means to be a girl's girl. Yeah, I want to be talking about girlhood. I want to be talking about being a girl's girl because in this day and age, luckily, I think it's very cool to be a girl's girl. It's cool to be someone who roots for women, even though the pendulum does swing from time to time. But not only that, I can say for certainty that all of my life, the relationships that have always been the most fruitful, most purposeful, most beneficial to me have been my relationships with women. They've always made up some of my best memories. And so I want to get into it today and what it means to be a girl's girl. By the way, if you can hear that whistling, howling sound in the background, that's because there's a freaking tornado outside. I swear to God, it has been windy for the past 3 days. I don't know how this house hasn't blown away, but let's proceed. So for starters, I believe that I am very qualified to talk about this topic because I was raised by my mom. Well, both my parents were in my life, but my mom was the strong leader of the household, the strongest figure. We always delineated to her, and is that the right word? I don't know, but we would, heed her advice and listen to her. Her word was basically what we would do. And I had all sisters growing up, no brothers. So, as you can imagine, I didn't have a lot of experience with guys or boys or understanding them at all, which is a whole nother topic in and of itself. But girlhood, sisterhood, and women in particular was a topic that I was very well equipped in understanding, right? I grew up understanding what a strong female role looks like, and I can honestly say with full certainty that a lot of the women in my life who were role models to me, like my grandmother, my aunts, my mom, teachers and coaches, for the most part, these strong women in my life, I could go to any of them and have a long, deep talk about anything and share anything that I felt, and they were always meeting me with a level of understanding and love and patience and support. I swear not a single conversation would end with them where they didn't tell me that they loved me and that they were there for me and cared about me and wanted to see me succeed and supported me. And as a big sister as well, I have an older half sister, but I was the oldest in my immediate family. It became very important to me that being a big sister meant that you are a role model and that it is not necessarily a pressure, but being a role model doesn't mean being somebody who's perfect, or doesn't mean that you're somebody who is, living a specific way or trying to tell, your younger sisters how to be or what to do. But you lead by example, and then a lot of the time when you're a younger sister, you're going to look to your older sister as like, okay, how did you do it? Not so you can do it the same way, but like, you want that example of, okay, did it work out for her? Did it not work out for her? What's she going to say about this? Or what did she do in this situation? Yada, yada, yada. And that's never been a pressure to me at all, but it's always been something I think about because I want to be there for my sisters, and I want them to know that like they're their own individual people. I would never try and tell them, oh, well, you should do it how I did it, or never, I never try and be like that snobby older sister type vibe. But at the same time, I do, want to be a good example to them of being able to be authentically yourself and having the courage to go out and do the things you want to do and standing up for yourself and knowing what you deserve. and just leading a life that shows them that anything is possible. And that's kind of been my goal my whole life, is that I never want anyone to look at my life and not feel anything but inspired, or like, wow, she really went out and she did that and she got that. If it's possible for her, it's possible for me. And specifically with women, I want any young woman who I meet, or any woman that I meet as a friend or even just in passing, to feel inspired and feel like they come out of talking with me full, and like their heart is full and they feel purposeful and like joyful. That's the goal, girl. It's very easy when you're in an older sister position to fall into this like dictatorship of like trying to be a control freak or trying to tell people what to do or how to do. I think I, for whatever reason, developed very early on the notion that there's no reason to do that to anyone, and that when you try and control people, they're gonna fight back. They're gonna fight back hard. So there's no use trying to be condescending or trying to like put your viewpoint on someone. Like, at the end of the day, people are gonna do what they want to do. All you can be is someone that they can trust, who's not going to judge them, who's not going to tell them I told you so, who's not going to be, a bitch about it. You want to be able to go to somebody and say like, hey, I'm really struggling and like, what do I do, or I need help, or can you just listen to me, and being able to be that person. Okay, so that's why I think I'm qualified as an ultimate girl's girl, as a big sister, as someone who was raised by strong women, has a lot of great relationships with women. I would say I know a fair bit about women and girlhood. So, what does it actually mean to be a girl's girl? Because I think that the term gets thrown around now because it's so popular online to talk about it. And the only thing I can really say for certainty is that your relationship to women is oftentimes going to be born out of how you have viewed women and how they have treated you growing up, right? So there are girls out there who had moms who were the almond moms, or hyper judgmental or strict or control freaks or this and that. And I just want to say this. My mom was definitely not a perfect person, but, I had my own struggles with my mom. So I didn't have like the best role model growing up at all times, with my mom. So I want to make it clear that like, just because you were raised by a mom who's a certain way doesn't determine whether you're going to have a good relationship or a bad relationship with women. That's kind of determined by you and how many different relationships you have with women and how you navigate it. But I do believe that there comes a distinct moment in a young girl's life where she chooses to look at women as a safe haven or as a threat. And that choice determines how other women treat her and how her relationships with women are moving forward. So for instance, right, I believe that there are girls out there who will go into friendships with other girls, or will step into the workplace with other women, or will constantly be around other women in different environments, and will, come out of it saying something like, well, girls just don't like me. Like, girls are catty and they're mean and they make everything a competition and there's so much drama, and like, I just don't get along with girls. I get along with guys better. The old pick me phrase. And I'm not saying that all women do this, you know what I'm saying? And I'm also not gonna talk about this topic as if there aren't bad apples out there, okay? I genuinely do believe that for the most part, women are pure-hearted and saints, and they have a lot of love in their soul, but not all. God, not all. I know I've met a few that are, woo, Lord. But that being said, I do think that the way that you approach other women and the attitude that you have towards other women determines how they treat you. So, for instance, if you have developed resentment towards other women, jealousy, envy, anger, and you have directed it and projected it at other women for whatever reason, right? It could be any number of reasons. that's kind of the attitude that you're going to get back, right? Women, for the most part, not all, but most women have a very strong intuition. They have a good gut instinct. And so something could look like a sweet, angelic, beautiful, gorgeous gal on the outside, but there could be some snakiness about her. There could be something off about her. And you might not be able to pinpoint exactly what it is, but as a woman with a strong intuition, you might go to your girls and be like, I don't trust her. I'm sorry. I know she seems like quite the peach, but there's something wrong about her. I've had that happen to me before, and then it always turns out to be right because a woman's intuition never lies. So you could be the perkiest, most, oh my God, girl, you look so good today. Like, you could be all of that. You could be posturing as a girl's girl because, again, it's popular online to be a girl's girl. You can be doing the dance. You can be having acting classes in your room on how to interact with other women, how to be the girl who passes out tampons in the bathroom. You could be all that and more. But a vibe never lies. If there is an undercurrent, okay, shameless plug, if there is an undercurrent of bad energy, right? Because you are deep down, maybe subconsciously even, harboring some resentment towards women in your life who have done you dirty, and you have not dealt with that. So you are harboring resentment, you are harboring anger, you are looking at other women and immediately judging them in your head. They can pick up on that. And so I hate to say it. I hate to say it. But sometimes, if you're the kind of girl who walks in a room and none of the girls there like you or trust you, you're the problem, babe. You are the problem. I promise you. It is not possible for every woman that you meet to just be a bitch and just be jealous of you and just like, they just don't get me, and like guys are easier and they don't get my sense of humor. We're not Lucinda from Love Island UK, mama. Like, we're not rage baiting the crowd, okay? It's not going to be like that, mama. It's probably because there is something about you that gives off bad vibes. Maybe start policing your thoughts, right? If this is you, there's still time to change, right? You know, if you're the type of girl who immediately jumps to a judgmental mindset, why is she wearing that? What does she think? She could step out of the house wearing that. Change your mindset to, man, doesn't she look good in that outfit? I wish I could wear something like that. I wish I had the confidence to wear something like that. Because a lot of the times, it's just jealousy, right? It is. They have something that I feel like I lack, and therefore, I am resenting them for it. And then that happens so many times and so often that you gain such deep intrinsic insecurities and you blame other women, even though you know that has nothing to do with them. Right. So being a cool girl or being a girl's girl is cool now. Let's talk about that. I think that, again, the pendulum has swung all the way to the other side because in high school or when we were younger, I have had a girl literally verbatim tell me that they can't be friends with girls because girls are too much drama. Like the classic reels that you would see on Instagram making fun of girls like that, that was literally her. She was that girl who would say that stuff. This girl, whenever we would go out as a group, right? She wasn't super close with any of us, but she wouldn't even try. She would not even sit and listen to us or talk to us or ask us questions. She would literally just not engage. She would leave and we would be out in public. No matter what, she would come back with an entourage of men or boys. And they were all her best friends now. And she could joke around and laugh and goof with them. And oh, ha, ha, ha. Because when you're a girl who has nothing going for you and just naturally gets attention from guys. So when you're in a group of women, right? Or you're in a group of girls, it's, we don't care that you're pretty. We don't care that you have sex appeal. What do you bring to the table, right? Those things are not important to us. There's not an ulterior motive. I want to make friends with somebody I enjoy being around. That's the point. It's a wholesome reality when it comes to girls. And also, a lot of girls want you to be vulnerable. They want you to be authentic. They want to see the parts of you that aren't that glamorous, right? We want to make jokes and laugh and snort and like not perform for boys all the time. If you're the type of girl who can only ever be around guys because it's more important to you to get male validation and to be the center of attention and seek out a shallow means of connection, then yeah, a lot of girls are probably not going to trust you, because why the fuck would they become friends with somebody who they know is going to dump them for the next useless loser who just looks your way, right? And I think that there are a lot of girls out there who are shallow, who don't care about forming deep, genuine connections, who don't know how to be vulnerable, who only know how to talk about surface level things, who do like being the center of attention. So their relationships with men work out great for them, right? But what happens when you want to go to the club and you start seeing content about girls all getting ready together to go out to the club and all, you don't have any girlfriends? Now all of a sudden you are left out socially because you don't have a group of girls who you can have that experience with. Right? What if your situationship or your boyfriend screws you over for, oh my God, can I speak? Imagine your boyfriend or situationship screws you over for the millionth time, right? You're going to talk to the boys about that? They don't care. They're just going to tell you exactly what you don't want to hear. Women are then collateral for you. It's when things go wrong, I use women to make me feel better. Right? But it's never about actually seeking out a deeper, meaningful relationship. It's not about emotional maturity or growth. It's because you're looking at relationships as transactional. And because guys give you attention, that's what you're going to keep going back to, because you do believe that relationships are transactional. You don't have any deep, meaningful relationships. So I think that there are a lot of girls out there who are seeing content about that and realizing that they're missing out. And feel like, well, if I'm not a girl's girl, I'm going to be called out on it and I'm going to be made fun of. So I have to get girlfriends and I have to be a good girlfriend, And so they resort to posturing or overperforming. Where if I'm not all up in your face, calling you beautiful, touching your hair, asking you to marry me within 5 minutes of meeting you, then I'm a bitch, I guess. And to me, that's just as inauthentic as being a pick-me. Because I don't, and that's all nice and stuff when you're drunk in a bar. We all act like that when we're drunk in a bar, okay? But I'm saying the girls who act like that, sometimes it's like you don't actually have to work at making a deeper friendship. You can just you can overcompensate for the fact that we're never going to talk outside of this interaction where we're still in front of a bunch of people. And it's all about the show and how you look to everyone else. That has nothing to do with the relationship being deeper and more meaningful. Right? So yeah, being a girl's girl on paper is cool now. But sometimes I do question if people even know what it means to be a girl's girl, because the term has been thrown around and because we see, a girl getting super excited to talk to other women and it's like, wow, she's such a girl's girl. We don't know that. She's just might just be hyperactive. Ultimately, you do attract what you put out. So if you are constantly judging other women, they will feel that and they will judge you back. If you have a deep underlying resentment and hatred towards women, they will reflect that energy back to you. If you show up and you actually genuinely, authentically want to get to know this girl, you could see yourself being friends, or you're just really trying and you're being non-judgmental and you are putting in effort, I believe 9 times out of 10, they will respond really well and you will make real, genuine, good friends. Now, there's always the 1 out of 10. And unfortunately, they're the lost cause, right? You can try as much as you want and they could still be an asshole back to you or still just be rude. And it's like, okay, well, you don't have, a friend to all is a friend to none. You don't have to be friends with everybody. A girl's girl does not mean liking every single girl. In fact, I think a girl's girl means being able to pick out the women who are worth investing time into because they act like women, not like girls, right? They're still hung up on some weird ass high school behavior in our grown ass age. As a girl's girl, maybe it's best to bring that to their attention, and if they can't address it or don't, get defensive or don't know how to communicate with you, just move on. It's as simple as that. So, what does being a girl's girl mean? I guess for me, it means that your relationship with women is more important to you than frivolous, meaningless, patriarchal, I guess, social climbing. Because womanhood is truly so pure. Womanhood at its core is really just so untainted. Girlhood at its core is beautiful and should be embraced because it can truly make us happy when we choose to really indulge in those relationships and grow those relationships. Personally, I am a quality over quantity friend. I'm also a low effort friend, which again is another topic. I'm not the kind of friend who texts you all the time. Me and lots of my friends can go sometimes weeks without speaking. Usually not, but I have a very small group of girlfriends and they're all spread out. And then I have a very close relationship with my sisters, right? So I would say I have 3 solid female friends that I really cherish, and 2 to 3 sisters that I'm keeping in contact with pretty regularly, right? And those are the relationships that really matter to me. Is it a lot? Do I have a big group? No, but I think that generally speaking, I take the time to make sure that the women who I do have a relationship with genuinely feel like we are friends and that I am a good friend to them. That's important to me. Now, I'm a big introvert and I'm somebody who spends a lot of time alone. So, I don't hang out with friends all the time, or I'm not looking to make new friends all the time. But when I find somebody who's worth investing my time in, I definitely will. And I'm a very loyal friend. I also think it's important as a girl's girl to keep it real with your girls. If they're saying something that them as a person is not good for them, or advice that is not good for them, to be able to reel back and say, okay, am I giving advice that's good for me or advice that's good for them? And sometimes it's hard to tell. I think being a girl's girl looks different on everyone, on every type of woman, but I think being there for your friends, being there to listen to them, being there to be non-judgmental, to give them a shoulder to cry on when things go wrong, but to also just be real with them, right? That's always a good stance to take. And I have not been the best of all time about being real, for sure. But I do believe that I've gotten better over time at being more honest, and being less just, girl, do whatever you want, girl. It's a man's world. We got to rule it somehow. That's how my energy has been sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, okay, you're able to give a more objective opinion, because my my whole philosophy for so long has been experience max. Like, do whatever you want. Life is short. I still have that opinion. But I think I'm about to turn 25 next month. It's like, okay, I'm like, experience max, but have boundaries maybe now. Right? So I definitely think that my type of friendship, my advice or whatever it is that I come at it with a certain type of energy now, it has evolved over time, right? But I do think that in this world and in this society that we live in, being able to genuinely step up for other women, even if it means that you might lose social status with men, is the true and ultimate test of being a girl's girl. It is the true and ultimate test of your character when it comes to other women. I truly mean this. If you are in a position where a guy might possibly frown on your choices, but you do what you need to do in order to defend your girls, that's what it's all about. That's the point in which you prove your womanhood, your girlhood, because it's hard enough. It is hard enough to live in this society with men constantly breathing down our necks and almost expecting us to be a certain way for them. There's just this sense of entitlement sometimes where they think that we're their girlfriend or we're a potential suitor for them, or we're somewhat of an extension of them to some degree. And when you can actually step up and say, no, by the way, I'm my own person. I do my own thing. I have my own life. And this is how I feel. And it's not going to align with what you think or feel in this scenario, but I stand up for what I believe in. And I stand 10 toes down behind this girl because what she's saying is valuable to our female experience. And if you're choosing not to listen to her, then I'm going to. Because of course it's not going to be you. You're not going to get her, but I do. Women need other women in those moments. To be able to stand up and be that kind of woman for another woman is everything. And it can actually help really heal the feminine parts of you that might be hurting. Because that's just a way in which you can bond with another woman and feel like you're a part of something bigger. Like, men just don't fucking get it, do they? But I got you, girl, I get it. That's girlhood, ultimate girlhood, honestly. I think I want to say this about pick-me's and the women who are women haters. I have someone close to me and dear to me in my life who has unfortunately taken the route of spending a lot of her time around guys, has sort of rejected her female friendships as soon as she got a boyfriend. Tale as old as time, right? The frustrating thing is that in that situation, right, it's not blatantly or explicitly said from her mouth that she doesn't respect women, doesn't like them, doesn't want to be around them, doesn't trust them. But her actions make that very clear, right? The way she talks about them, the derogatory thing she says about them, the way she has pushed women away, and what she has chosen to make important. Her boyfriend and his male friendships by proxy. If this is the life that you choose, just understand this very simple point. It might be fun and cool and, exciting and exhilarating to be surrounded by men who give you that ego boost, make you feel self-important or hot or cool or interesting because you have social value to them and you give them social status because of your level of attraction or your ability to step up for them, right? Or you can hang with the guys. You can take a joke. You're cool. You're a cool girl, right? It's nice. It feels good. It feels validating. But it's very fleeting. Because what happens when you lose that social value to them? What happens when life actually gets kind of serious and something serious happens to you and you need someone? You need something real. And you look around you and not a real friend in sight, because the whole friendship was built on something meaningless and low effort. And so the moment it requires effort on your end or on their end for you, crickets, right? Sorry, I had to do something here real quick. That is just a frustrating point, but it is without a doubt, without fail, every single time it happens this way. This person close to my heart experienced a betrayal. All of the guy friends knew about it. Not one of them told her. Because they weren't your friends, babe. They were not your friends. They didn't have your back. They don't care about you outside of what you can do for them. There's no loyalty when it comes to the deep shit in life. When life gets harder, because it will. Right? And I find this more often than not is that women who have only male friends, it comes out of an ego place, because they don't have the capacity to form deep, authentic, genuine friendships, because they are not deep and authentic and genuine with themselves. They lie to themselves. And so they don't want to be called out on their shit. I was like this for a long time. I still am to some degree. It can be very hard to be around people who are real, because you know they keep it real, so they're going to keep it real with you. And it can be painful. It can actually hurt when you're around somebody like that, because it's a cathartic type of painful, but it's nice at the end of the day to have a friend who you can trust to be real with you, because it also, again, it's a reflection of you and your capacity to love and your capacity to be real as well. But I want to say this. There are pick-me's out there, and then there are people who are not pick-me's, who have good relationships with women, who have good girlfriends. But some of y'all, and by y'all I mean me as well, to some degree at one point in my life, have such a strong double standard for what you expect from your girlfriends, but not from the guy you're seeing. I have let a guy screw me over 1,000,000 fucking times. 1,000,000 fucking times. But then one of my girlfriends would do something, and all of a sudden I want to write a 60-page dissertation about how she's betrayed me. I've been that girl. And the truth of the matter was a few specific things. For one, I didn't actually like this friend very much. I sort of just tolerated her. If I had a lot of deep love for her, I think I would have been more forgiving. But because I didn't truly like her as a person and just wanted to have a friend, but didn't feel a deep connection for her or a deep love for her, when she screwed me over half as bad as my ex did, it was curtains. And to this day, I still hold a grudge against her because ultimately I did not really like her that much. And that's the truth. Similarly, I think there can be times where a guy will say something or do something and I'll have a grace for it, especially when I was, seeing guys who were literal pieces of shit. They were pieces of shit. And I would just make excuses because it was beneficial to me and my ego and what I wanted to be able to make excuses for them. But then if a friend did something or acted a certain way, it was harder for me to forgive. Why is that? I wonder. Well, after doing some digging, it turns out that I was not taking enough appreciation and value from my friendships and my relationships with the women in my life. And I was almost expecting more from them than I was from the guy because it was like, of course he's going to screw me over. But you can't screw me over. You're my friend. Who will I have? Obviously this guy's going to do me dirty, but you can't do me dirty, girl. If I don't have you, I have nothing. I think at the end of the day, that's how we feel about our friendships, is that a lot of the times a friendship breakup is going to hurt way worse than an actual breakup. Or somebody ghosting you for the 53rd time, like, oh my God, he's ghosted me again. What am I going to do? I'm going to go to my girls who always got my back every single time. But God forbid she does something that upsets me because I cannot live without her. And then we have to kind of ask ourselves what that double standard does to our friendship with them and what it says about us. And look, I'll say this, like, there are some of y'all whose man will do you so dirty, and you'll forgive him, and you'll give us a big, long PowerPoint presentation about why it's fine, but you couldn't look a girl in the eye for doing something half as bad. Look, we don't have to be friends with people who betray us. But I don't want to hear nothing about how he deserves forgiveness, but she's a cunt. I don't want to hear it. If you're going to forgive one, you got to forgive both. You don't have to be her friend. But none of the bad verbiage about a woman. Not too much on her. Because I think it's showing her true colors a little bit. I'll say this, and this might be controversial, but if a man cheats and you're quick, maybe not consciously and verbally, but you're quick in your brain to call out the girl or to blame her, there's a problem. I want to address that. Let's practice no double standard. Because I think that is detrimental to your mental health and the way you view women. When you are actively contributing to a society that expects women to be perfect and not do a single thing wrong and lets men off the hook for the most diabolical shit on this planet. And again, I'm speaking to myself as well because I've been one to let shit slide for exes, but then hold my friends to this higher standard. It's like, girl, let's not do that. Okay? Having an abundance mindset is very important in life, but also when it comes to having girlfriends, right? When you are constantly comparing yourself to other women and looking at other women and believing that you don't measure up, well, then of course you're going to breed resentment for them or against them. Of course, you're going to think negative, judgmental thoughts about them. But it is possible to get to a point where it's she's beautiful and I'm beautiful, not she's beautiful so I'm not. Her beauty does not take away from yours. Brown eyes and blue eyes are both beautiful, right? Long hair, short hair, both beautiful. Beauty is really in the eye of the beholder. There's never a woman on this earth who's going to edge you out in terms of beauty because it's not a competition. Sometimes it feels like it is, but it's not. We, as women, are pitted against each other because of beauty standards that none of us have created. And yet, I have dated guys who have all across the board told me different types. I like thick girls. Well, I wasn't thick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really love women of this race, or I'm really attracted to women who have this type of personality. Right? I like blondes. I like this, that. I mean, it's crazy sometimes the things they say, but it's like, that's your type. What am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like, every guy I've ever met has a different type or is attracted to different things. Right? At the end of the day, there's nothing that you can do. You're either somebody's type or you're not. It's not a competition. You know? And it's possible for you to be beautiful and another woman to be beautiful and not hold it against her, right? We don't need to have that mindset. If you're with somebody who makes you feel that way or feel like you're less than or you need to compare yourself to other people, you need to leave that. That's no good. Because it's never, ever, ever a good place to be in life when you're comparing yourself to other women. And it's impossible to go throughout this life without that. Of course we get jealous. Of course we compare ourselves. But a man's measurements of your worth, does he think that I've been there, and it's just useless crap ass mental space that you could be filling up with anything else in the world. You could read a whole book in the time that it took you to like compare the depth of your forehead. You know what I'm saying? Like, it never comes down to those details. Sometimes it's just like an inexplicable thing of nature, right? There's no reason to compare yourself to other women. There isn't. A guy you want doesn't want you. Whoop-de-doo, that's life. Mama, if I had $1 for every time that's happened, I'd have a lot of dollars. I'd have a full piggy bank. You move on. Life goes on. They find the girl that they want. They find the girl of their dreams. And you move along. It's not always easy, but it is what it is. Having an abundance mindset is acknowledging that another woman's beauty does not take away from your own, but also that even if it feels like it does, what are you going to do? Sit around, wallow, and get uglier? No. If you feel like you could look better, looks max, baby. It's 2026. Get that bag. Get in the gym. If you want to look better, look better. Right? You might not be able to look like her, but you can look your best self. So let's focus on that. I think also making friends with other women. I'll be honest, sometimes there have been moments in my life where I felt like I didn't fit in with other women. Where I felt like I wasn't as cool or interesting or any number of reasons. There are lots of women out there who have certain interests or hobbies that I just don't have, right? Taylor Swift is a big one. A lot of Swifties out there. Can't say I'm a big Swiftie. I don't hate her, before y'all come for me, but I don't know the lore. I'm not big into it. Never really got into it, right? So there are definitely, girls out there who are really sweet and really kind and really genuine, but you just don't click with them because you don't have much in common. And I think the more niche your hobbies are, the more into a pick-me mindset you can get, but also the harder it might be to make friends because you feel more different or unique. I don't really listen to that kind of music, but I still want to fit in and talk about that type of stuff, or, but I don't want to force myself to listen to something I don't care about. Things like that, right? It's how to find a balance between being an individual and being able to feel like you're still a part of something. I think what I've done is I've never been a part of a big group, a big friend group. I've never been someone who is actively an active participant in a big group of friends or a big group of girlfriends. A lot of my girlfriends are spread out. I have a friend here, friend here, friend here. That works for me because it allows different parts of my personality to shine, right? My Pilates and coffee friend is different than my party going out friend, different than my travel friend who I go to visit, right? Or my best friend and who we talk more regularly, right? Or my sisters, it's all different. It gets to have different sides of my personality come out, and, I can feel like an individual while also having meaningful friendships. Sometimes it can be hard to be a part of a group of friends if you feel like, I don't have anything in common with these people who all have something in common. Yeah, of course you're not really going to fit in. I think it's about finding where you do fit in and how you can fit in into having female friendships without compromising on who you are or your individualism. And then I guess the last little bit is asking yourself if you really genuinely love and care about your girlfriends, you would actually do anything for them. You would drop everything to be there for them. You would go out of your way from them. You think about them. You think about the things they like. Do you actually love your girlfriends, or do you just tolerate them because you made friends with them early on in college, but you kind of are growing apart for them, but you don't want to not have friends? It happens. It's okay, right? Not every single area of your life is going to be perfectly aligned at all times. You're not going to be able to have a perfect group of girlfriends at all times in your life or be the perfect friend. That's okay. But when I finally identified that my ex-roommate from a long time ago, we just weren't really compatible as friends, and that led me to harbor a lot more resentment and be a lot more frustrated at her for certain things. It became a lot easier for me to be like, oh, that wasn't a deep, genuine friendship. That was just somebody I kind of tolerated. Be honest with yourself. If you have friendships that are more tolerate than I really genuinely love and care about you and would do anything for you, maybe it's time to end those friendships. And because then you can clear up space and room for real, genuine, meaningful friendships with women. But how do we identify when a woman is trustworthy or not, right? Well, what did I say about women having a good intuition? That includes you, sister. That includes you. Right? You know when you can trust a woman or not. You know when it's a girl or it's a woman, right? It's that energy of, it's just this sacred energy. It's like perhaps a bit more grounded, down to earth, a bit more mature, right? I think that focusing on compatibility in friendships is really important, because I think that a lot of the time our friends can be nothing like us, but a lot like us in the same or different ways. I think that as you get older, it's easier to suss out who you can trust and who you can't, who's worth your time and who isn't. Like I said, I think for the most part, most women out there are good-hearted, good-natured, lovely, kind individuals who want to do good for the world. And then there are some women who are not. They're not nice. I have met many, many mean girls. They don't have to exist to you. As far as I'm concerned, they don't exist. I never think about them. Because there's no point. I was picked on in school, mainly by guys, but by girls too, who would jump on the bandwagon. And guess what? They usually end up being miserable. So, and that's not my business. right? You just focus on yourself. But I think finding women who are trustworthy is just about trusting your gut. It's, you know, it's about clearing out your judgment or clearing out maybe those negative or resentful feelings that you've been carrying around and saying, what do I actually think about this person, like, objectively? Do we have stuff in common? Do we get along? Maybe I'll try it out. Do I feel like I can trust this person? Do I feel like I can tell them something vulnerable about myself or something honest? Hopefully, yes. That's going to be all for today's episode of Undercurrents. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful. I also don't want to make it seem like I'm like some expert on being a girl's girl. There have been many times in my life where I have acted pick me as shit. I have acted stupid. I have not cherished my friendships. I had no girlfriends. I pushed everyone away. I've been that girl. I think I've bounced back and I've made it a priority to cultivate my female relationships, right? And it's always been so fulfilling. I promise you, it's always so much better. You'll be less sick. That's something I've noticed. If you have really strong friendships with women who are mature and you guys do like wholesome, good-natured, good-hearted things together, like your health and immune system through the roof. You will have so many more cherished memories. You will just be happy. You will be more fulfilled. You will have way better pictures. Let me guess. If you're a pick-me, you don't have one single picture of you that you haven't taken of yourself on your phone. That's what I thought. When you have girlfriends who can get your good angles, you've got lots of good pictures to post. I'd love to make like a list of things to do with your girl best friends that are like niche, fun, like activities. I actually had a thought of one the other day, but I can't remember it now. But of course, if I think about it, I'll put it in the description. But anyways, guys, like I said, that's going to be the end of the video, and I'll see you next week. Bye.